A Japanese man, dressed in vibrant pajamas, awakens in a stark white room with no doors, windows, or visible ceiling. As he examines one of the walls, he notices a peculiar protrusion shaped like a male member. Curious, he pokes it a few times before pressing the tip. This action causes hundreds of giggling baby angels to emerge from the floor and walls, only to disappear moments later, leaving behind their own members sticking out. This is what's known as the learning phase. When the man sniffs his finger after touching the odd button, he screams in fear, begging for help to no avail. Determined to understand his surroundings, he starts pressing the various buttons. Each time, a different random object appears in the room, ranging from a tiny toothbrush to a large vase. He discovers that pressing the same button repeatedly yields the same object, leading him to accumulate a pile of chopsticks. His amusement is short-lived, though, as pressing a button next to the chopstick, one releases a small cart that hits his legs. Another button he presses transforms into a butt that passes gas in his face. Hours pass, and the room fills with a variety of random objects. When he throws a ball at the wall, it hits a button that gives him sushi. Excited because he's hungry, he soon realizes he's missing soy sauce. Despite his pleas to his captors, he receives no response, so he keeps pressing buttons until he accumulates a pile of sushi, but no sauce. Resigned, he eats the sushi, finding it delicious. Ironically, after finishing, a bottle of soy sauce finally appears, but it only frustrates him. Pushing the soy sauce bottle aside, he presses another button and gets a pair of old-school 3D glasses. When he puts them on, he sees a baby angel pointing at his member, thinking he has found the solution. However, pressing that button only initiates a countdown, leading to a giant butt descending from above to pass gas on him. Several hours later, he has read 5 volumes of an entertaining manga, but pressing a button for the 6th volume gives him the 7th instead. Frustrated, he tries more buttons, which give him the 8th and 9th volume, but still no 6th. Finally, one button reveals a hidden door. Overjoyed, he loses track of which button opened it. Trying randomly, he sees an African tribesman running across the room, gets water poured on him, and eventually finds the right button again. The wall opens, but the door closes too quickly for him to escape. He realizes he needs to keep the button pressed down, trying different methods like pressing it with his foot, a jump rope, and even a fan, but nothing works. His next plan involves getting on the cart and pushing it after pressing the button, but after several attempts, he admits defeat. He concludes he needs to weigh down the button permanently. Placing a huge vase on it doesn't work as the button pops back up. He decides to fill the vase to make it heavier. He tries using water, but it only splashes on him. He then fills the vase with sushi, making it too heavy to lift. Realizing the vase's neck is too narrow for his hand, he uses chopsticks to remove some sushi, bit by bit. Eventually, he manages to lift the vase just enough to move it closer to the buttons. When he reaches the button area, he has to set down the vase because he's lost track of which button it was again. He tries one, and the African tribesman appears, accidentally bumping into the vase, causing it to crack and break in half. This sends the man over the edge, and in his frustration and non-stop yelling, he finally finds the right button and starts covering it with sushi. But of course, this doesn't work either, and the little member pops up among the rice. Next, he tries covering the button with tape, then tape plus a steel plate, but nothing works. After taking some painkillers for the pain caused by the door hitting his back and taking a nap, the man decides to wash his teeth. He presses a button to get water, but instead, a rope falls from the ceiling. This instantly lifts his spirits as it gives him a new idea. He opens the door, then uses the rope to swing across the room, hoping to make it before the door closes. Unfortunately, the door behind the fake wall is locked. He manages to get back into the room just in time, though the door still hits him on his way out. In frustration, he kicks the wall, activating another button that reveals a key floating in the middle of the room. Just like the door, the key vanishes when the button pops back up, so he needs to find a way to keep both the key in the room and the door open. First, he needs to locate the button again by estimating where his foot landed when he kicked the wall. He tries a button, but a dog comes out barking. The next button he tries does the same, but on the third try, he succeeds. Keeping his eyes and pointing at the button, he walks backward, grabs a piece of sushi to mark the right button, but when he presses it, the dog appears again. He quickly finds the button again and proceeds with his plan. He makes the rope appear and swings on it to reach the buttons, but it's not enough. As he falls to the floor, he sees a plunger he had obtained earlier and gets an idea. He uses the plunger to push himself farther while swinging on the rope. After one failed attempt, his plan works smoothly. The combination of swinging on the rope and using the plunger allows him to press the button for the key, grab it, press the door button, and reach the door before it closes. He quickly inserts the key in the lock and turns it, only to find another lock at the top that requires a 3-number combination. Frustrated, he throws the plunger at the opposite wall, triggering the African tribesman again. He notices 3 numbers painted on the tribesman's forehead, which must be the combination. Since time behind the door is limited, The man repeats the swinging and jumping process 3 times to enter each number. On the third try, he stays to open the door, which is slightly stuck. He pushes hard to open it, but the piece of wall behind him closes, trapping him with not enough room to finish opening the door. Devastated, he sits on the floor, crying, remembering the fun he had with the objects from the buttons. He realizes he didn't appreciate what he had when he could move and entertain himself. Suddenly, he feels a breeze from the left wall. Touching it, he finds a crack, indicating it's a fake panel. He pushes it open and runs out, finding himself in a mysterious hallway floating in a pitch-black area. It feels like an eternity running towards an exit. And when he finally reaches a room, his hair is longer, and the colors of his pajamas have faded. This new room is empty, and the door closes behind him as he enters. Instead of baby angels, there are adult ones who disappear into the wall, leaving their members to be used as buttons. This is the phase known as practice. Meanwhile, in a city in Mexico, little Antonio's family is worried because his father, a wrestler known as Escargot Man, is behaving more taciturnly than usual. His wife thinks it may be because his next opponent is much younger than him, but the grandfather points out that experience, not youth, is what truly matters. Escargot Man is picked up by his sister Karen in her truck, and she drives him to the wrestling ring so he can get ready early, which includes changing clothes and praying to the Virgin. At school, Antonio is being bullied by his classmates for betting on Escargot Man, calling him a weak loser. As the time for the match approaches, Sister Karen picks up Antonio and their grandfather to take them to see Escargot Man in action. Karen doesn't stay, and Antonio and his grandfather find some of the last seats just before the show begins. The first team to enter the ring is the Northern Tough One, consisting of Super Demon and Tequila Joe. Then, Escargot Man and his partner Silver Eagle enter under the team name Kiss Me A Lot. Silver Eagle starts the fight brilliantly, but he is soon overpowered when the Northern Tough Ones team up against him. They keep taunting Escargot Man to join the fight, but he refuses until Silver Eagle tricks Super Demon and Tequila Joe into hitting each other, allowing him to escape. Escargot Man quickly gets overpowered as well, but just when his opponent is about to hit him with a chair, the man in the mysterious room presses a member button, causing Escargot Man to magically extend his neck and knock out both opponents with his head. In the room, nothing happens, which catches the man's attention. He keeps pressing the same button, causing Escargot Man to knock out Silver Eagle, the referee, Antonio, and even the bell. Seeing no results, the man starts trying different buttons. One makes a singer in a metal band breathe fire above his audience during a concert in Los Angeles. Another makes a Russian magician fail his trick when he tries to make his assistant disappear. And a third makes a man in China bark at his own dog. The man is about to give up when he notices some light coming from above. Unlike the last room, there is no ceiling here, and he can see angels flying around in the distance. He decides to try something completely new. Instead of pressing the member buttons, he will use them to climb the walls. It works, and every time he grabs a button with his hands or steps on them with his feet, something amazing happens on Earth. From flowers blossoming to an elephant dying. The higher he goes, the more complex the effects become, affecting both nature and humanity, from toasters to moon landing. By the time he reaches the top, both his hair and beard have grown long, and he no longer needs to hold on to the wall. He can now float like the angels, and using all the experience gained from the previous rooms, he embraces his role as a god. He begins choosing humanity's biggest achievements on purpose instead of randomly pushing buttons. When he finishes, he is surrounded by feathers instead of walls, and he enters a glowing portal that takes him to the last room. This room has continents on its walls and a huge member button that the man is about to press. This is the phase known as the future.